Are you really done with your construction project? Because if you get this wrong, it could cost you thousands. Most people in construction think practical completion means the job's done and dusted, but the truth is, it's one of the least understood and most argued about milestones on any site. It's vague, it's subjective, and if you don't know how to handle it properly, it could bite you hard. So in this video, I'll break down exactly what practical completion really means, how to avoid costly disputes, and what to watch out for, whether you're a contractor, an employer, or a contract administrator. So here's a weird thing about practical completion. It's one of the biggest moments in a project, but in JCT contracts, one of the most widely used in the UK construction industry, it's not clearly defined. Seriously, there's no firm legal definition, just a vague idea that the works are complete except for minor defects which do not prevent the building from being used for its intended purpose. Which raises the obvious question, what counts as a minor defect? And who decides that? Here's where it gets messy. Think about it. A paint scuff? Probably fine. A fire alarm that hasn't been commissioned? Not okay. Loose door handles? Meh. Missing handrails on stairwells? Definitely not passing go. And here's the twist. The person who decides whether practical completion can be certified is the contract administrator. That could be an architect, the employer's agent, or even the employer themselves in some setups. They've got the final say. It's a judgment call, and not everyone sees things the same way. Let's be clear, this isn't just a box ticking moment. Here's what changes the second practical completion is certified. Liquidated damages stop. No more daily fines for the contractor if they're running behind schedule. Responsibility shifts. The client now takes on the risk. Insurance, damage, maintenance, you name it. Retention is released. Usually 50% of the money held back is paid for out to the contractor. The defects liability period begins, usually 6 to 12 months. Any issues that show up during this time still need to be fixed by the contractor, but they're not blocking handover. So yeah, it's a big deal, financially, legally, operationally, which is exactly why it gets so heated. Here's where things go wrong. Because the term is vague, it opens doors for disputes. Contractors want practical completion as soon as possible, so they stop getting hit with daily charges and start getting paid. Employers or contract administrators might push back, especially if they think the job isn't quite there yet. Declare practical completion too early, and you might be accepting something unfinished. Wait too long, and you might unfairly punish the contractor. It's a tightrope walk. So, how do you get things right? Here's what I tell every project team. Set expectations early. Before the contractor's even signed, define what practical completion will look like. Don't leave it vague, write it down. Build a snag list early and often. You don't want to be scrambling through issues a day before handover. Make sure everyone agrees on what's a minor versus major. Don't wait for perfection. Buildings are like people. They're never perfect. The question is, does it work? Is it usable, safe? If yes, then you can probably close. Get legal advice if there's even a whiff of risk. If you're unsure, don't guess. Get advice before you certify anything. And just before you can certify it doesn't mean you should. If it's not ready, don't rush it. One word you need to understand, trifling. Let's talk about a case that changed everything. In Mears Limited versus Cost Plan Services South East Limited 2019, 56 student flats were built 3% smaller than what was agreed. Mears, the client, said, "This is a breach of contract. You can't certify practical completion," but the Court of Appeal didn't agree. They said something really important. A defect that is trifling, even if it technically breaches a contract, does not prevent certification. In plain English, if it's small enough not to matter in the real world, it's still fine. So, what's trifling? A scratched wall? Probably. A broken smoke alarm? Not a chance. Flats being 3% smaller than planned? Turns out, yep, still trifling. That ruling gave contract administrators a clear message. Use your judgment. Don't hold up a project for minor issues, but do not ignore them either. Note them down and deal with them during the defects liability period. Too many projects hit with delays, arguments and legal bills because people misunderstand this one word, practical completion. If you define it clearly up front, communicate it across the team and apply it fairly, you avoid misunderstandings, blame games, delayed payments, legal threats. It's a small shift in thinking, but it can save you months of pain. What I do on my own projects? Personally, I always push to define completion milestones before contracts are signed, lay out what will and won't block practical completion, encourage open and honest snagging lists with both major and minor issues logged clearly. Ask this one question at the end: is the building ready to be used safely and effectively, despite the old scratch or scuff? If the answer is yes, and you've documented the rest, then you're probably ready. Practical completion isn't about perfection, it's about being done enough. Enough to hand over, enough to use, enough to stop blaming and start operating. But it's not something to rush or fudge or treat like a handshake deal. It affects money, liability and risk. So whether you're building, managing or signing off a project, treat this moment with care, because once it's certified, there's no going back. If you have any thoughts or tips on how project teams work together and make practical completion a clearly defined objective, let us know in the comments. And as always, if you need help or advice on this or any other topics, you can contact our friendly team at our website at harrisonclarke.co.uk, and I'll see you in my next video.